to structure a client consultation. Hi, I'm Hayley from Parallel Coaching. Now, if you are a PT, a Pilates instructor, yoga teacher, exercise referral specialist, then you'll already know the importance of having a consultation at the very beginning when working with a client, and then creating the plan and then going and working with the client. Now, this is a client journey that has been advocated for a long time, but I'm going to teach you something very different about a consultation now that will make things so much easier, because you'll have a solid foundation in that initial client consultation, and that will mean that you're able to build on that in everything you do with your client. So there's a few key things that make up a really good client consultation. I'm going to share them with you now. So first of all, there is a thing called a double consultation. This is something we teach all about here at Parallel Coaching in our Fit Pro 31, in our PT courses. But a double consultation is a technique whereby you're not trying to squeeze it all into one consultation. Instead, you use two. Now, this is a really powerful tool to use, especially if your client is likely to fail a parq or likely to have complications with their common clinical conditions or anything else whereby they need a little bit of extra attention or focus on their goals. But it is really important structure to use. So the way this works is that instead of having one consultation that tries to do everything all at once, instead you split it into two. The first part is to do the talking consultation. So this is where you as my client would sit down over a coffee and we would talk through the main subjective areas of our consultation. I want to build rapport with you, and I want to take down some key bits of information so I can start the planning and the goal setting process before we meet for the second consultation, which is a testing consultation. And in that testing consultation, that's where I would take any relevant measurements of any areas needed in order to track in relation to the goals, very goal specific testing, and also anything that I want to do in terms of finding out your starting point. So this might amalgamate into a first session of really testing how you move as a client. So that's the double consultation structure. You have a talking consultation to start off with, then there's a little gap in the middle, and then you have a testing consultation. So let's talk through how you would structure that consultation process. First of all, in the talking consultation, you want to be in an environment that is comfortable for your client. So the easiest way to do this is usually in a coffee shop. It's comfortable, you know that you're not going to have to get up and do loads of testing or anything. So it's comfortable and your client knows the environment. So that can work really well. The other side that can work really well is maybe in a gym environment, but it needs to be kind of a private situation, something that where the client feels comfortable to be able to talk. And the first part is to build rapport. What happens here is that you can't expect your client to want to go straight into talking about all their problems, all of their goals, all their aspirations. Instead, it's important that we gradually build up the rapport, especially if this is the first time we've met them. So you can use this as a way of thinking about, to start with, the things that they're comfortable to talk about. Now, things they're comfortable to talk about, they're going to be comfortable with their basic information first. So rather than going straight in with goals, straight in with problems, focus on their basic information first. So that might sound very straightforward, but this is going to be making sure you have their name, their email, their phone number. This will start building up that relationship. You can even talk about the weather or how far they had to travel today. That all builds up rapport. Once you've built up rapport, you can then go deeper into the conversation, deeper into the questions. And that might be that you're diving into lifestyle style questions. What do you do at the moment, activity-wise? What's your nutrition habits like? And you start to dive a bit deeper. And then you go, well, let's find out about the goals. And at this point, you really want to dive deep. You don't want to take just the surface answer with your client. And that's why we wanted to build rapport first. So I want to ask my client what their aspirations are. Why did you come to me in the first place? What would you like to achieve? And as they start talking, find out, have they gone in surface level or are they a little bit deeper now? But you want to find out why they chose that goal. So use the words why and tell me more to dive deeper into the goal regularly. So you want to kind of do this about 3 or 4 times, whereby you're going, why would you like that? Why is that your goal? Why do you feel that this would make a difference or an impact on your life? Tell me more. You want to dive in deeper to that goal so you can really find out what that goal is. Now, the problem here that we have with goals is that quite often clients will choose an outcome-focused goal. Now, an outcome-focused goal is something about how they feel. So they'll be like, oh, I just want to feel fitter, or I want to look better. And that has a very clear outcome. It makes them feel motivated by that, and that's great. And they might have a deeper reason for that, say being able to play with the grandkids, or to feel confident on a night out, or whatever it might be. But then the thing that makes the difference is having a performance goal before they hit the outcome goal. So if I've got a long-term outcome goal, and that long-term outcome goal is, let's say, to be able to fit into a little black dress so I can feel confident on a night out, right? And then the performance goal has to be something that you can measure that is more medium term. So that might be that they're actually looking for fat loss, that they're actually looking for weight loss, that they're looking to reduce their circumference size. These are all things you can clearly measure to show that the client has achieved it. And you might make this of something measurable that matches in with the end of your program. So if you've got an 8-week or a 6-week program or package with your client, you'd make that performance goal in line with the end of that program, so that you can show the progression they've had from beginning to end. Now, that's a really important process, not only so that you have a clear goal to work on, you have clear testing in mind that they need to do to check their progress week 0 to week 6 or week 8, but it also means that it relates to the long-term outcome goal, because they can keep their focus on something that is outcome-based, that is really exciting, and along the way you've got some measurements that you can take that's relevant. And then your short-term goals are going to be something usually more process related, about the types of individual nutritional changes that they're going to make, or increasing activity. It's usually a little bit smaller process goals. So that's something that you really need to extract from your client in this talking consultation. And that's why it's nice that you've got longer to be able to talk in a separate consultation, rather than feeling like you've got to cram it all into one and make a decision on what testing to do and then go forwards. So you've got all of that component all in the talking consultation. The other element that you need to include in the talking consultation is a parq. So you need to make sure that your client signs that parq, and any other sort of questionnaires or subjective data collection that you want to gain from your client. You might do like a stress test or a confidence test, or something that whereby you're able to harvest some sort of more subjective information. That all happens here in the talking consultation. Now, the power of doing those types of sort of form filling exercises early in the talking consultation is they're good talking points throughout, especially when you get to the goals. So let's say your client fails a parq and has some common clinical conditions, that might then directly relate into the goals. So as a structure for that talking consultation, start with their basic information and rapport build. You might then go into sorting out the parq and any little other questionnaires you have that you want your client to be able to sign or complete for you. Maybe a Likert scale, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident they're feeling. Then you can go into the deeper questions about what their nutrition and their activity is like right now, and then you go into the goals. And that's a really clear structure that you can use throughout the talking consultation. Talking consultation ends, you finish your cup of coffee, you go separate ways, and then you've got a little gap before you have your next session with your client. Now, this little gap is crucial for you and for your client. Your client is going to go and complete a food diary and any other little tasks that you want them to do themselves. Now, this is a great little process whereby your client feels like there's something important they need to go and do, gets them in the habit of doing something that is relevant and that is moving them towards their goal. So food diaries are great here. It might be more that you want to set them like a challenge to do with steps, or they need to go and prepare more, or they need to go and buy a pair of trainers, or whatever it might be. So these are the things that allow them to get ready. And that happens in this little gap between your talking consultation and your testing consultation. Then you're gonna, in this time for you, you're gonna map out their goals. So this is where you take all that information you extracted during the session and you turn it into a goal map. So you've got an idea of the short, medium and long term. And that then allows you to show your client what your plan is. You might also have a rough plan in terms of your periodized plan by now as well. Awesome. Then you go into the testing consultation. Now this is going to be a more physical session whereby you do the testing that is relevant to their goals. So if your performance related goal was circumference related, then you need to do some circumference measurements, or you need to do skin fold calipers or weighing scales or a fitness test or a press up in a minute test. There's tons of different tests. However, when you're choosing the test, choose a test that's relevant to the client and to their specific performance related goal. And that will give you the structure. Now, the chances are that won't be a full session. It might be, depending on the length of the CV tests and things like that. However, you might not have that many tests that you need to do. So if that's the case, then you would fill the time of the next set of that whole session in what we call basic movement analysis. This is a great time to do a squat analysis with your client. It's a great time to see how they move and to start testing how much resistance they're moving on specific exercises. So you might be sort of basically doing the first session of a plan whereby you've got some basic movements and you're starting to work out what kind of weights they're lifting, what kind of speed they're moving at, and really helping them with some basic technique. Now that's even better for a beginner structure. That gap in between as well, definitely worth me saying, between the talking consultation and the testing consultation is a really good gap to make the most of if your client also has any issues with their parq. So if they fail a parq, that gap between the two allows you to move forward safely and get permission from the GP before you go into the testing consultation and get the medical clearance. So that basically gives you a full structure, and then your client is right into their planning section. Now this as a foundation sets the scene massively. It's actually really, really useful. So if you've been doing it any other way, if you've been doing a combined consultation, if you've been doing a quick consultation at the beginning of a free session or whatever, I challenge you to change it. I challenge you to try this method. And you do the talking consultation first, and the length of that can change massively. It could be anything from 10 minutes up to 45 minutes. It's just down to you. Then you have that little gap in between whereby they do the food diary, you process the goals, screening takes place with the GP if needed, and then the testing consultation takes place last, and that is whereby you harvest the final information on objective measurements and start to see how your client is moving. And then you're ready to go and start the plan as you planned. So that is the how to create a client consultation, how to structure a client consultation in a way that's going to really, really help you set the scene as a fit pro. Now, if you have any questions at all about a consultation, then please do reach out, pop your comments and questions below, and we'll go from there. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.